Number one, he hates bright lights. We know that. But you got to keep him out of the sunlight. Sunlight will kill him. Number two, keep him away from water. Don't give him any water to drink. And whatever you do, don't give him a bath. And probably the most important thing, don't ever feed him after midnight.
Hey, Past Due Movie Review fans. It's good to see you. It's good to be with you again. I'm Tyler, and this is my brother, Lance Richards.
What's going on?
We're coming to you from Ohio and Florida once again, and it's just good to be back. We got some new equipment. Hopefully, we just want to try to keep getting better at what we're doing. And I know my lighting is a little weird, and there's some streaks on my camera, but Lance is looking pretty good. He's looking all right. So yeah,
hopefully I'm sounding better. Out of the two of us, I definitely sounded the worst, and I felt really bad about that with our thousands of subscribers that are listening. I was like, man, their ears are just like scratching. I'm like, I gotta fix this. So we're trying to get better.
Yeah. Audio matters, I guess. If you want to start a podcast, audio matters. But it's Friday night, but we're here, and we're here to talk movies. We're here to talk one in particular, one that is, I think, our first, what you said last week, creature feature. I think that's pretty much what it is. And it's not classified as a horror, and it's not classified as a Christmas, but people call it Christmas and people call it horror. So whatever floats your boat, I guess.
Yeah. People love to debate what's a Christmas movie. You know, Die Hard usually is the big one that people like to fight about. Well, of course it's a Christmas movie, but Gremlins is one that kind of gets lost in that. But I say Gremlins is a Christmas movie. You hear the Christmas music, you see Santa Claus, there's snow on the ground. There's a lot, the Christmas spirit in this movie is in the air.
Cookies. Yeah, what Christmas trees, all the things that are happening.
Yeah, cookies, baking, frosting. I mean, it's all in there.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess things do blow up in this movie just like in Die Hard. And there's guns, but it's a creature feature for sure. Yeah, so it's a Christmas movie. It's just, I mean, there's all kinds of terrible Christmas movies out there that are horror movies. This is by far not even close, but it's fun. So it turns out all right.
Yeah, rewatching this movie, it's not as funny as I remember as a kid, and it's a bit more scary than I remember as a kid, but it's also a lot more corny than I remember when I was a kid. As a kid, you kind of get into the campier features of the movie when they're all kind of singing the Christmas carols, and then they're at the bar drinking beer, and I totally missed some of that stuff as a kid, but I remember some of the ideas behind it.
Yeah. I mean, if you look close with anything, and nowadays we're spoiled by CGI and, some of the puppetry things that happen. But back then they're still trying to do the best that they could. And now that we have high def, I've said this before, high def just shows and reveals everything, all the mistakes. Like I even saw some of the wires, because at some level they have to use like a marionette type style for puppetry that they use in this movie. And I was like, oh dear. But I never caught that before. But now that it's high def, I'm seeing it all. So.
Well, you caught it. I guess I wasn't looking for it. I didn't see it. But you kind of can tell when things are a little different versus when they're putting them on the green. Like it wasn't the green screen, it was the blue screen back then, especially when they start marching down the street and you see hundreds of them after Stripe falls into the swimming pool. Remember, what are the 3 rules with gremlins, right? Uh, yeah, they don't like bright light. Don't get them wet, and then definitely don't feed them after midnight.
I was thinking about that, feeding them after midnight, and the thing about midnight is it sounds scary. Like it really is a terrible rule, because I'm like, so what happens when the sun comes back up and it's 7 o'clock in the morning? Can you feed them then? Is it only like right after midnight, within the first hour? Like, what's the rule? I don't know.
Well,
Is it
and they can eat food, but they can't have water. But there is water in food, so just I don't know. All like the little holes you can poke in this movie. You really don't think about this movie too hard, because it's not meant for that at all. It's just
yeah. I mean,
turn your brain off, try to get scared, and enjoy the funny parts. This is kind of
Yeah,
what this movie is.
because you could even go down the road. You're like, well, Stripe jumps into the Y pool and it's full of chlorine. So it's full of chemicals and water. Is it how pure? Yeah. So there's that hope. But yeah, you just enjoy it because it's just like any horror movie. There's stupid rules, like Scream. If you ever watch Scream, there's rules to it, and you go, it doesn't really make sense. But that's not the point. So
Yeah, it's funny though when Stripe jumps in the pool, because they show an image of him in the water and he's in a cannonball position. He's like, cannonball.
yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
But this movie is great. I know I looked up some of the puppetry. I was talking about that because I wanted to hit that a little bit. Chris Wallace, I believe, was his name, and he was the mastermind behind this feature with Gizmo, the Mogwai, and the Gremlins. And with Gremlins, now I'll just say this: I don't know if I should promote this, but Gremlins has a an animated series. I believe it's on HBO Max. I've only seen snippets of it, but they go into the lore of the Mogwai, and sometimes I like that stuff, and then sometimes I'm like, well, that just takes all the fun out of it. But at least they're diving into more Gremlins and things like that, and it's fun. And this was a fun movie for me to watch again, and everybody. Everybody's just fun to watch. So tell us about the cast. Who's in this cast, Lance?
Well, we have a guy, Zach Galligan, and he plays the main role as Billy. And man, when they show him on the TV, is that his real hair or is that a wig? I mean, that hair looks ridiculous.
It does. It's bad.
Yeah. Well, then you've got, in the supporting cast, you got Phoebe Cates. She was the bombshell of the 80s. Just super babe back then. Corey Feldman, he's part of that. I don't know what you want to call the crew. I mean, but he's with that Spielberg Goonies. Corey Feldman, this was his golden era. He hit it real young, and then he kind of went out pretty early. And then you've got Dick Miller. He's an older actor, but he plays the part of Murray Futterman. And I thought he had a bigger role. So when I remember this as a kid, he's driving around that big like snowplow tractor thing. And I swear,
harvester.
Yeah, I thought he ran. I thought he ran some of the Gremlins over, but no, like he doesn't do anything except him and his wife. They just get mowed over. By it, and you think they're dead, but he, I guess I won't spoil the second one, but I just did. And then you got Hoyt Axton, who I guess is some sort of like music star, like some country music or whatever. He was playing the dad. And the father is kind of an interesting role. He plays part of narrator, and then you see him as the dad in the movie, and I don't want to call him careless, but he's definitely not someone you want to emulate in a sense. He seems like he's kind of careless with his money. Obviously, he buys the Mogwai, which the Gremlins pop out of, and he's and then he's doing all these inventions that just don't work. You're just wasting the family's money on stuff. And his poor wife, played by Frances Lee McCain, she's like, yeah, they're making the coffee, and it's just coming out like the thick. I don't know what it looks like. It looks disgusting coming out of that. And then there's the orange. Like he puts that little orange into the orange juicer. Billy does.
Yeah.
And like out pops like 15 gallons of orange pulp. I'm like, where did this stuff come from? And like, has it just been hiding in there? So yeah, like it was a pretty good cast, and like they just kind of, play their part the way they're supposed to do it. You get like the schmucks that are supposed to be, and they do a good job. Ruby Deagle, played by Polly Holiday, just doing the thing like, oh, I'm gonna murder your dog type of a personality.
I do like Polly Holiday as Deagle, because in the movie you see her as just like this. She's witchy and she's mean, and then you show her as this cat lady and she has this thing that goes up and down the stairs, and it looks like the Deagle family has been in power of Kingston Falls, like that's their legacy, and she's willing to like bleed it dry for the sake of who knows what.
Yeah, she's the aristocracy of the town.
Yeah, and everybody's afraid of her, and she does get her comeuppance in the movie, but yeah, Polly Holiday has been in so many different things. Home Improvement. She's been in a couple other things that I really like her in. She's a great actress, and I'm glad they have some of those like the Hoyt Axton. When you said he was a singer, that makes sense. I was like, oh, that's why they wanted him to narrate and do all things. But the narrating part only really happened in the beginning and the end, and then I was like, I guess that kind is okay. But I always get kind of skeptical of narrating, because sometimes it all of a sudden drops off and you're like, what?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to see a movie with good narration, The Princess Bride, they do a good job of, because he's telling the story, and then so there's narration through it, and he's plays a role within the movie.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, the puppetry for me is pretty cool, because there's lots. The Gremlins are more fun, and they do this thing where like I don't know how they did it. They were like, I don't know, but they always look like they're hopping up and down and like shaking, and it's just fantastic. And the fun thing about the Gremlins is they could make them into all these different characters and dress them up and do all these different things. But one thing I noticed in the movies when they're in the theater, I'd never noticed this before, and this is high definition, is where they would put like standing like puppets or like models or whatever, and they're not moving. And you see and I'm like,
I didn't even notice that.
High definition ruins it again.
Wow.
But your eye is supposed to be caught to the moving pieces, but I'm looking for more because we've seen it so many times. I'm just looking for that he's not moving. Why isn't that guy moving?
Well, you bring up a good point. You've seen this movie so many times. For me, this was one that I watched reluctantly growing up, I think, for the most part. Tyler would want to watch this movie. I was always too scared. If anybody wants to be the scaredy cat in the house, it was definitely me. I always like to make easy adventures, like where the good guy's always going to come through most of the time. Like when it came to like people getting killed or massacred in certain ways, like Tyler had more of a knack of enjoying it than I did. I think personally, I was always too scared. I mean, some of these parts in the movie where, especially Stripe at the end when he's going out. I remember it being gross, and it is much grosser than I remember. Put it that way.
It's that those effects were pretty fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
actually. I'm always curious as to why they had the jump scare at the end, because there's no living tissue unless everything of the gremlin is actually living, because he's just a skeleton who pops out and then melts away. But it proves that sunlight kills both Gremlins and Mogwai. So there you go on your proving the rule to be true.
Yeah, and it is fun that they do stick to these rules close enough in the movie for you to enjoy it. Uh, and that does kind of bring the whole thing together, because if they didn't do that and you forgot and you saw like a lot of this bright light accidentally in the movie, you'd be like, hey, wait a minute, and it wouldn't be it wouldn't have the effect it does.
That's true. The rules are actually the glue pieces that keep the movie moving and going,
Mm-hmm.
because the bright light does matter. Like when Phoebe Cates is taking the Polaroids and she's flashing the things and they're like, falling all those different things. But yeah, it matters. It matters on what the rules are and how they play out in that movie.
Oh, for sure. One thing I wanted to talk about, and it goes to the effects, is when they are starting to turn into gremlins, and Billy wakes up the next day and he just sees these big greenish blue, like they look like cocoons, where the gremlins are coming out of. And that to me is like, ugh, that's just you can tell something bad's gonna happen, and it just gets scary.
All right, then I want you to bring that vacuum cleaner upstairs for me.
What I liked about some of the effects was when they're in Billy's bedroom,
Yeah.
and they had eaten all that stuff, and you see all like the fog, and you see these gross like chrysalis. They kind of look like chrysalis or cocoons, like something like is obviously going to be transforming or metamorphosing into something disgusting.
Yeah.
And it is, man, the 80s knew how to do kind of creepy. Like you didn't get that kind of creepy in 90s movies or 2000s. Like
No.
most studios kind of went away from that, but like the 80s was known for its like sticky, gooey, icky crap. And I thought it was just like, it gives a sense of foreboding that something really bad's about to happen.
Yeah, I think you're right, because I've seen other 80s films that, like The Thing, uh, The Howling. I haven't really seen that. I've seen clips of that. And there's other ones that, anything that's creature feature is sticky, gooey, and it just leans. Oh, the Blob's remake, it just leans heavily on that. And that's what makes the 80s kind of the way it was. I mean, because it was kind of a weird time anyway. But I mean, like the movie Spaceballs having a PG rating still baffles me. I'm like,
even in the future, nothing works.
Because, well, Gremlins is not nearly as quotable. I mean, there's things like "Don't ever feed them after midnight," but there's one part where they're talking to the teacher, and he's like, "Yeah, cocoon, pupil stage, a putrid stage," and then he's like, he's in there going through lots of changes, and Corey Feldman's character goes, "Yeah, like my mother."
Yeah. What'd you say this was called? A putrid stage?
Pupil stage.
Like a butterfly.
Yeah, right. Right, this is a cocoon, and inside he's going through changes. Lots of changes.
Like my mother.
No.
Like, oh, his mom's going through menopause apparently.
Yeah.
But so that was kind of funny, those little moments. And I think we talked about this the other night. Billy's mom all of a sudden goes in like Rambo mode, like she takes no crap. I mean, what were you thinking about that? I mean, she's killing it.
Yeah, the 80s had its own version of like, bad girls.
Yeah.
And the mom, she's like this kind of sweet lady the whole time. She's just keeping the house together. Her husband's off trying to sell inventions, and Billy's still living at home. And she goes upstairs to see if something to figure out what's going on, she hears these noises, and then she sees what I was talking about earlier, those cocoons that have kind of opened up, and then all of a sudden she hears the little drummer boy
No, it's Do You
music.
Hear What I Hear?
Oh, do you hear what I hear? That's right. Do you hear what I hear? Yeah. And it sounds so nice, and it's this kind of warming music to this really disgusting stuff you're looking at, and just the contrast. And so she goes down to the music, and she turns it off, and when she turns it off, it's like, all right, time to get down to business. And then so she's the one out of all the all the people in this movie to get like confirmed kills, and she gets and she does it in like the most like awesome way. She sticks one in a blender, and then the other one, she grabs the kitchen knife, and she's just like stabbing this thing, like her face is wicked. And then she throws the other one in the microwave, and oh my goodness, talk about gooey.
Oh, yeah. Well, the thing about that is, I noticed her knife. I'd never noticed this before, but it's very similar. Maybe not total size. It was a little bit longer, but like it looked like one of those classic slasher knives. And so I don't know if that was on purpose. I feel like it probably was. I'd have to look at some notes, but it was, I think. And you know what's funny? I noticed the machines that worked in the house was the record player, the microwave, and funny enough, the mixer, the Peltzer mixer that she uses.
Oh, was that a Peltzer one?
Yeah, I think it has a Peltzer. It's on like another part of the movie, but you see it, and I'm like, huh. Well, that's interesting.
Yeah,
that works.
Yeah, some movies have really good setups where there's something that's not working or something that does work really well, and that's what they'll use for a setup for a kill later on, or what they're going to use. They do one of those when Billy first walks into the house. You see that there's two swords hanging like side by side. Our grandparents used to have a decoration kind of like that, and then one of the swords pops out, and so you see him put the sword back. And it just so happens his mom is being attacked by a gremlin, and Billy comes in and saves his mom with that same sword.
Yeah. What I don't know if you notice this, Lance. The Gremlins have this like kind of superhuman. Well, they're not human, but they have like a super strength that's not normal. Like their strength is not proportioned to their size. They can get in control quickly. They're terrifying, and so like when that gremlin's on top of his mom, like hurting her, I'm like, there's got to be like just that unproportionate thing that's part of the Gremlins, where that's how they kind of take over and do their thing.
Yeah. And I guess go ahead.
Well, I was gonna say, and then Billy's mom, all of a sudden, after she gets scratched and beat up, she's like not gonna go out. I'm like, that would have been kind of cool to have Billy's mom like going out and killing gremlins and things like that, but whatever.
Yeah, she kind of gets her kills in, and she's like, I'm good. And else, like everyone's kind of running away and acting scared. I was gonna say this is kind of off the topic of the Gremlins, but this is gonna go back to Miss Deagle. I just thought of this. It's when she's carrying that big snowman head, and she's walking towards the bank to go get Billy a talking to, and this random guy on the street, he goes, "Beautiful morning, huh, Miss Deagle?" And she goes, "What's good about it?" And he goes, "Oh." He was just like the weirdest reaction you'd see from somebody. And, just some of the weird humor that you got is pretty funny.
Yeah,
like you have to catch it.
Oh, for sure. And what's funny about it, when we're talking about kills, there's a couple kills that happen. Mrs. Deagle, or Miss Deagle, is obviously one of them. And no one's sad about that when she gets the gremlins sabotage her chair, and then she goes like, I'm like, that's a long flight of stairs, but she and I think it's meant for last, because you're like, oh, she finally got her comeuppance, but then you're never sure about the sheriff and his deputy. Do they die? Supposedly I read that Marty Futterman and his wife they were supposed to die, but they ended up keeping them in there, saying it was maybe too dark. You hear it at the end, like they talk about it, and then you see them later on in the sequel. But uh, there's you're like, I wonder how many people actually died in this movie. Does the Santa Claus die? Does that person that's in like their apartment you can see them shaking around, does that person die? Like, what is happening? I mean, maybe they're just torturing these poor people and moving. Oh, the other confirmed kill is the teacher, I guess, that
Yeah.
they that he's dead.
Well, that's a good setup too, because he's taken a little bit of blood from this Mogwai, and you can tell this little Mogwai, they're not normal like Gizmo. We haven't really talked about Gizmo yet, but and then you can see he's not happy about it. And what do you see? How he kills him with a syringe of poison.
Yeah. Well, and going to the Mogwai, there's some like history, and I think the television show explains some of it. But you can tell Gizmo is not the norm compared to the others, and he's benevolent rather than malevolent, I guess, if you want to use those terms. And the Gremlins really are just, or they're in their furry form, but they're the same thing, and they're mischievous, and they hang up the dog, they cut the wire on the clock, and that was all done before they were even turning. But then they really get wicked, and so there's that. There's some I don't know if it's a fan theory, or if it's like Gizmo is like this like really long lived and ancient being, and he's learned to suppress his feelings, and since the others are so young, they don't know how to suppress the mischievous part of it. I don't know. All I know is that you cheer on Gizmo, and he really is adorable and fun, and I think everybody wanted to have a Gizmo doll.
Bright light.
The Peltzer pet. This could really be the big one.
Yeah, his dad is just thinking, his clock, like his mind is always working. How can I make money out of this venture? Like anything he looks at, he's like, I can make money out of that. That's kind of his shtick the whole time.
That's it. The Peltzer pet. And I have no idea what feeding after midnight means. Yeah, the carelessness, what you're saying, the carelessness aloof to the problem.
Just always trying to make money. And, there's the one young bank executive that goes to the bar where Billy's at. And he's like, I'm going to fire you. I'm going to be the head guy and this and that. And I don't know if they show what happens to him in the movie. I think it's kind of said that he dies off screen or something.
There's a deleted scene actually where he locks himself in the bank. I've seen the deleted scene. I've seen it on back in the day. If people don't know this, if they remember this, they used to show the deleted scenes on television for some reason and cut other scenes out. I don't understand that method. The Goonies was the same way. They showed the octopus scene on television rather than having it on the actual cut of the movie. But I have seen that scene before, and he's, Billy and Kate call him a coward, or more or less, and he thought he was a big shot, but he ended up locking himself in the bank. And I don't know if they talk about what happened to the bank owner. They might have.
Oh, I think they said something like a clock fell on him in the deleted scene. Maybe. I guess his time ran out. Dad jokes. We're dads. Get over it.
Bad dad jokes.
Yeah, real bad dad jokes.
But Gizmo, he's definitely a character that you learn to love. He loves old movies. He loves just being cared for, and he's the likable character, and definitely not the hero, but kind of the victim, the true victim, I think, in some sense, because he has no control over what happens if he gets spilled on, or they're always picking on Gizmo.
Yeah, they're always tying him up like he's the one getting darts thrown at. He finally finds this little toy car in the mall towards the end of the movie, and you think he's going to go off and save the day, and he tries, but he ends up just getting thrown off and tossed into this these greens. One thing I was going to say about Stripe, and it's more or less about all the Gremlins. You know, we talk about how they don't like bright light, don't put them in water, and don't feed them after midnight. So the water in the feeding at midnight turns them into Gremlins, and it's the light that kills them. But I'd say they actually have another weakness, and it's akin to like feeding them. You see Stripe, like he leaves the theater where they're all having fun to go after food. He sees candy and he goes, yum, yum. Yum, yum. And then he's getting chased by Billy and by Phoebe. I can't remember her character name at the time.
Kate.
And you see him on this skateboard, and the thing he's going yum, 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 yum. It's just keeps thinking about food, even though he's getting chased around this place. He's can't wait to get his next fix. I mean, that to me is just hilarious.
Well, I mean, I guess you could even say it's a perpetual hunger for mischief, for violence, for hunger. There's just for actual food. I mean, they're driven by this thing, and what I love is their laugh. Actually, I think one of my favorite, they're so happy. But the other part of it is they have no respect for each other. Like they like to be in big numbers, but they're more than willing to kill one another off. It doesn't matter if one dies. And another part of this movie, which I really like, is that they don't explain it, but you see it. Is that even the Mogwai, the Gremlins, they're hyper intelligent. You know, they can even talk and do some things, and that just it speaks to the special uniqueness of like why this race is so unique and different, and why you need to take special care. So you can't trust anybody that comes out with hyper intelligence ever.
I guess not. Yeah.
Don't be trusting a smart person.
You only trust the dumb people, like
Don't
on this
trust
podcast.
If you're stupid, you're safe.
Maybe.
It's like Q on Star Trek. You know, he's hyper intelligent and smart, but he's such a ding dong, and he ends up getting in more trouble than it's worth. You know, so maybe Q is really a gremlin. But
Yeah, I mean, so I do like what they talk about with the gremlins. You kind of wonder like, well, what is a gremlin? And it seems like you get the idea of what a gremlin kind of is from Murray Futterman. He keeps complaining about all these foreign things. He's like, oh, these darn foreign cars, or foreign TV. Why isn't it a Zenith? You know, they don't make Zenith anymore. No. But he keeps complaining about all these things, and then you find out he was in World War II, and World War II he was I think in a B-17 bomber. He was in some sort of aircraft. And that is true that they used to talk about gremlins back in the 1940s, because they would talk about all the little things that would actually go wrong in their planes. And they made up these things called gremlins. And so that's kind of where I think this whole idea came from. But yeah, it's a cool nod to where I think the idea, first started.
But there's also Gremlins 2. And like I said, there's a show. Never seen the show. It's a little more kid focused. I'm sure parents watch it with their kids. Sandra said I couldn't show this to the kids. Gremlins 2 is probably more watchable kid wise, just because it's silly. But this movie had its silly moments too, and I think it's amazing puppetry, stop motion, animatronics, kind of brilliant stuff for the 80s. And I hope, because they're supposed to be making a Gremlins 3, I hope that they keep the animatronics, the puppetry going. Yeah. I think that was one thing about, if I can go to Star Wars for a minute, like J.J. Abrams kind of went back to some of that old puppetry that at least made it endearing for The Force Awakens. That brought you back instead of being like, oh, more CGI. Okay. I'm just like, CGI, go away. That was one of the things I hated about the Phantom Menace. But anyway, tangent.
Yeah, I mean, the practical effects really makes it feel real, even though
It does.
you might be able to see a line or a string and you're like, oh, those are just fake. But with CGI, it's CGI just you can't compare. You have actors looking at nothing where you have like a puppet on screen. Yeah, there might be someone like behind it, but you're still looking at like
Yeah.
this terrifying little creature coming at you. And I'm glad you brought up Star Wars because I was looking at Gizmo and like, man, he's like the cutest little thing, and he's got these big ears out there here. I'm like, oh my gosh. Star Wars just copied Grogu after Gizmo.
I would love to have a Mogwai, but if it had the real rules, I would be and I'm out. Just
Well, think about it. If you're in a different time zone, I mean, you're screwed. Like East Coast, you've got the Midwest, Mountain Time. I mean, think about if you live in the Arizona area, close to the Pacific. I mean, you might be in trouble because just 10 minutes one way, 10 minutes the other way. You're back and forth, and that's what you do see, right? You see the mischief is where the Gremlins cut through or before they become Gremlins, the young Mogwais, they bite through his alarm clock, and that's how they get their food the first time. And it's interesting because you see food offered to Gizmo, and you see him kind of shake his head and goes, "No, I'm fine." So Billy and Gizmo, they're watching that horror movie. It's like that 1950s horror movie about this transformation, and like you were saying, the animatronics on these faces were so great because you see Gizmo's face, and he's just like watching in horror what's going on. He's like, it's a cool face that you see, like, oh, I see that he looks like he's actually alive, like watching a movie.
Oh yeah, I think for the when I was younger, it was like he's got to be alive, right? It's so good. That's some of the close-up shots were some of the best because they were able to. They probably made a bigger animatronic version, and but it just brought it to life. And Gizmo is you just see him, and I think he's actually cuter in the second movie. That's just my opinion, Gizmo, but that movie's just silly, and I think that's the one that's next, though. Gremlins 2.
Yeah, well, the new batch, we gotta get to it. We're gonna see all sorts of Gremlins in that one, and that one, you're kind of sad to see some of the Gremlins die out, I would say,
because they were so interesting and funny.
Yeah. There's some that they're not up to actually any bad mischief. They're just like acting like people, which is kind of funny.
Well, and with the 80s, that movie was chock full of 80s actors. Like, you see Kate and or you see Phoebe Cates and Zach Galligan again, and Murray Futter, or what's his name, Dick Miller, and his whoever plays his wife. But aside from that, there's so many actors that you're like, oh, I know them from that. I know them from that. I know them from that, and all this. And it's just a fun ride. It's almost they almost spoof themselves, which is kind of on brand for Warner Brothers a little bit at the time. But yeah, I think it's a fun movie, and there's lots of fun little things. So if you've never seen Gremlins 2, just for the cameos and all the different actors, you got to watch it. So, but you got to watch this one too, because it makes sense. You got to watch it from here to there, and it connects pretty well.
But mine probably not suitable for young kids unless you want them sleeping in your bed for a few weeks.
Yeah. Oh, that's happening.
Yeah, I mean, well, no, thankfully I had nobody younger than 10 watching the movie, which I would say I kind of want to get to this, and hopefully Mom isn't watching at this point, but we had these videos taped from something. I'm sure Dad did it. Not to throw Dad under the bus, I'm sorry. But I'm like, we had access to this stuff, and I'm like, I mean, but the thing is, my kids have access to movies that I don't keep a lock and key on things. So if they ended up watching it, I guess they would watch it. But
well, hey, I think I don't know, Lance, did you have anything else you want to touch on this subject, this Gremlins?
No, it was an experience watching it again because I haven't watched it in years, but I did buy it on Blu-ray because I was like, oh, I'll get around to watching these again. And it took this podcast to get me to go for it. But so the new batch coming up soon, we'll be hitting it hard, and I will try to look for all those extra uh, tidbits in there that are kind of fun to explore. Yeah, like Tyler's, he was able to keep an eye on the puppets that don't move. Me, I'm just like, oh man, I don't remember that.
I will say they upped their game on this next one. Say they upped their game for sure. But that's the new batch for a reason. It's new and improved.
That's right.
But well, hey, past due movie review fans and peeps, we're gonna take it off because it's getting late. But I guess we'll see you next time, and be sure to like and subscribe and to comment, even whatever you want. So we'll try to get to those, and we'll try to respond back. But
tell us what you'd like to see. Tell us how
Yeah.
the sound is sounding. Tell us how bad we stink at this. I mean, we're
Yeah.
game for anything at this point.
Yeah, we're trying to keep getting better. So
Yeah.
all right, well, we'll see you later.
Peace out.